How's it going? It's your man Cham here, and today we are at Belgium for round 9 of the Aussie Sim Racing Championship. It was a pretty crazy race, but to be honest, the qualifying was even crazier. Here we are, we're on the super soft tyres, but with that being said, they weren't going to be very viable for very long. Rain was predicted within 5 minutes of the session starting. In a move which proved quite beneficial for us actually, we were the first car to come out of the pits. So here we are, we're starting our lap. We need to make it a perfect lap given the fact that it's a dry track and it's becoming very, very wet. In fact, so wet that by the time I'd hit the second sector, it was already teeming down with rain. Here we are in Lake Cham now. I was struggling to even keep it on the track, really. And by the time I'd got to the third sector, DRS was disabled too. It was basically just wet track, dry tyres and all that. It was not good. I was having tank slappers everywhere. I nearly spun out of control about 14 different times over the lap. And then my lap time went completely out of the window at the final corner, the bus stop, where I ended up going wide and missing the corner. I did, however, manage to slow down enough so I didn't get any corner cut warnings or corner cut too much, but it was not the line I was planning to take. However, I still went quickest, and despite nearly spinning it on the straight after my lap, I was actually on pole for a bit. It was crazy, I couldn't believe it. Sadly, however, it didn't last that long because Prying Stingray ended up coming out and setting a fastest lap just as I made my return to the track on intermediate tyres. However, that return did not go well at all as coming up Eau Rouge, I made a complete mockery of it and found myself in the barriers at the end of the corner. This put paid to any hope I had of catching up and improving my lap. And then when I tried again afterwards, things got even worse. In the time that it took me to pit, replace my front wing, and come back on track, I dropped from 2nd to 6th behind all the normal front runners, so the advantage of having dry tyres on at the start of the session was essentially gone. And then any chance of improving anything was gone, as Headshot Gaming in front of me essentially forgot how to drive. I was not happy whatsoever. In fact, I'm still not happy now. And in that rage, I made a rather big mistake. I left the accelerator on, and considering my front wing damage, I soon found the wall. That was my session over, P6, and 2 more appearances on the crash counter. Thinking about it now, it was a great position to be in, P6. I mean, to date, it has been my best ASR qualifying, but I'm on used tyres, so what's the point, honestly? I'd rather take a place or 2 down just to be on the fresher tyres. But regardless of that, we can still make it work. And here we are at the start. The lights are all red now, we're ready to go. And away we go, the lights are out now. Maznat's had a pretty good start. We've had an average getaway, so we're just going to hold position here unless anyone makes any mistakes. Maznat in front of us, however, has no such intentions and put one up the inside of Dynamite, who's forced us wide in turn. But so long as we don't get attacked from behind, it's not an issue, as he is right behind Maznat, and he's struggling as well. So we're not going to try to run up Eau Rouge, but we're going to have a great run up the Camel Straight for him. So here we are. We're going to go through. We haven't got DRS, obviously, because it's lap 1. But we're going to get the slipstream on him, and we won't have any threats from behind either because they're too far back. And here we are going into the braking zone. We haven't quite caught Dynamite, so we're going to have to slot in behind him. Thankfully, however, we haven't got much pressure from behind, as Expert is slowing everyone down behind me in 7th place. We've got Dynamite on our inside. We're going to have a look around the outside, but to be honest though, it's going to be too big a bottleneck to try anything. However, going around the outside here on lap 1 is not going to get me into 5th place. However, fast forward to lap 2, and things have become a lot worse. I can't keep up with the guys in front, and Headshot Gaming is having a go at me to try and get 6th place off me. Unfortunately for him, however, I've closed the door and he's had to brake, so BK behind him managed to get in front too. And it wasn't long before BK also managed to get ahead of us, which really does not pose a good picture for my strategy if I can't keep up with these guys on what should be faster tyres. However, they've now entered into a scrap, so myself and BK should be able to catch up to the back of them and stick with them. 3rd place Maznat is currently holding up new guy Niblo and Dynamite in front. With that being said though, I wouldn't be able to play a part in the battle because my tyres were gone and I needed to pit. But this became a lot easier for me when the safety car came out. The only issue I had was the fact that Maznat was driving so slow under the safety car. I mean, he must have had a mate or something that had a terrible start because he was just holding everyone up. I mean, look at my delta time. It nearly got to 4 seconds in the end. Thankfully though, the pit lane was right there, and so I was able to just pit quite easily. BK was in too, and so I decided to take the dare, box in, and put some soft tyres on. At this point, I was thinking I was going to box on the supers, get some soft tyres on, and ideally make them last until probably about sort of lap 15, 16 maybe. If I were to pit around lap 15 or 16, I could just throw a pair of soft tyres on. Off I go. I'd finish on them pretty easily. So during the safety car, I decided to maintain my tyres quite a lot. I was right behind BK. It was going to be a tough one to get up to where I needed to be, but we could do it. And so out went the safety car lights, and we were getting prepared to race. It had been a big attrition race so far, so I was hoping I could pick up a few places of people crashing or making big mistakes. But anyway, here we go. The safety car lights are out, and the two cars behind me have just turned into complete mental cases. I've driven up, I've got a perfect exit off both of them. They're having a fight with each other, so we've got no pressure from behind.
Are you sure about that?
As we go into turn 1 now, I take the braking zone on the outside, and Tortoise has decided that he wants to go for a complete dive bomb at the inside, and so is Silent Rain as he smacks the inside of my car. At this point, I'm just lucky that I've not had the same fate as BK and been spun around to lose places. But anyway, here we are. We're in 11th place now, and coming up our rouge, anything can happen, as Headshot decides to go for an overtake on Contrast and finds himself in the barriers and out of the race. With the impending yellow flags, V6 Turbo and Expert in front of me, I've had to slow down quite a lot, and so we're able to fight for 8th and 9th here. I'm not going to go for the move on Expert as he's right behind Mozza, and who knows, I could well just drift into the side of his car, and that's the last thing I want. However, in hindsight, I should have gone for the move, as Expert has gone slower than a brick. It's really not a good position for me to be in, so I've got to try something. So I'm going to have a look around the outside, the inside, wherever I can go through, because his braking and all that is not exactly helping me. But then in lap 8, I realised that I had to go for it. I was losing too much time to the cars ahead, so I've just gone for it and claimed P8. But unfortunately, however, Expert behind me just does not want to give the place up, so he's gone for a dive on the inside. I need to get ahead of him, I really do. It's been way too long, so I'm trying everything at this point. I'm throwing everything but the kitchen sink at him. Gone around the outside, that doesn't work, so I've gone around the inside, got the better exit. Unfortunately, however, I didn't get it done until the bus stop, and then I pulled it off successfully. However, even more problems were helping now. He had DRS, so he was able to get the overtake right back. But with that being said, I wasn't exactly keen to take it sitting down, so I've gone for a grand old dive up the inside. It's nearly worked, but he managed to keep the exit traction going well. And the last thing I want to do is slap my car into the side of him and go spinning. So here we are, we're still in 8th, we're stuck behind Expert, what can we do? We're looking for literally any way to overtake him now. Forget any sort of racing etiquette, we just need to get straight past him. And so because of this, I decided that I couldn't wait until the bus stop, I need to get done before then. So I've gone around the outside of that corner, I've gone into Blanchard, and I've had the biggest tank slapper I've ever had. That was so close. Oh, I don't know how we didn't crash there. That was so close. But anyway, just to make matters worse for me, Expert jumps into the pits at the end of that lap. So I've lost so much time with the guys in front ages away. However, I was soon to join the people because everyone had gone into the pits except for me. So I was in P3 and having a great time of it. Unfortunately, however, I had Stalin behind me, but I wasn't going to take it sitting down. And so I've pulled off the sort of thing that Expert was pulling off on me. And I've just had the greatest battle of all time with Stalin, holding it around the outside of that corner and putting the brakes on and managing to keep ahead of him. I bet by this point he was absolutely fuming with me, but it was all clean racing, all good fun. It was the best scrap I've ever had in ASR at this point because he was finding literally every way to have a go. First he tries around the outside of the first part of the bus stop, keeps on the inside, but I've managed to get the better exit traction, so I've stayed ahead of him, which is fantastic. Although, with that being said, for Styling this isn't exactly fantastic, because now despite getting ahead of me, I've tried the dive bomb and I've made it stick. And then things got worse, because his rival, Prying Stingray, managed to get out ahead of both of us. Unfortunately for me, however, Stalin did manage to find his way through pretty easily by getting through before our rouge and making the overtake stick and taking P3. And then things got even worse because I had BK right behind me now. Although with that being said, I had DRS still, so I was still able to have a go at Stalin, and I made the move stick. So gone into the braking, I've gone ahead of him, run a bit wide so I can stop an incident, and well, because of that, he's made it stick. But I'm not going to be having any of that, so I'm going to try the move. He's done the smart thing and forced me on the outside, so he's managed to make the position stick, and finally, he's through to P3. Or not, he's a massive tank slapper. He's gone wide, I've got the inside line, am I going to force my way through? I've gone around the inside, this is incredible racing. I've forced my way through, and as we go into the left-hander of Pruhan, he's managed to go around the outside. This is incredible. I've got on the inside line now. Can I make it stick? He's got it. He's got the better traction on the inside. BK's now going to have a go at me. And oh dear, I've been put into the wall. Oh god. It was all going so well until then. But now I'm in 6th. My front wing is screwed. I'm going to have to make my stop early now. What a shame. It was so good. The racing was fantastic until that point. But oh well, not everything's meant to work out, so I've gone into the pits. I've put a set of mediums on, which, to be fair, was not my plan. I was planning to put softs on and just move on with my race. And ideally finish in the sort of lower points region, maybe about 8th, 9th, maybe 7th even. But that's not happening, and now I've come out right with Grunting Tortoise. He's going to go for the move, obviously, because he's got much more speed than me. So he's gone around the outside of the Eau Rouge corner, and knowing him, I am not going to battle him up the corner, so I'll just let him have it. I've got more pace than him, so I might be able to overtake him next lap. Let's see. Here we are on lap 15. I'm right on his back, and oh dear, I've made a massive mistake. I've lost so much time to him. That mistake completely ruined my race, and I couldn't keep up with him. So he was off in the distance. The only overtake I got for the rest of the race was Honest Crook for 11th. And because of that, my last 6 laps was very boring. I came home in 11th. And, well, this race could have been a lot better for me. The only way I possibly would have gained time is if Expert and Grunting Tortoise ahead of me had crashed. I was faster than both of these drivers on the weekend, so it was a shame to finish where I did. But anyway, we've come home in P11, and things could have been a lot better. This whole race weekend has been a complete nightmare for me, other than qualifying, which went very well for me. But some things just aren't meant to be, and here I am outside the points for the first time in 3 races. Just to make matters worse, the crash counter made a really big return this race. I mean, I think I've broken the record for the most crashes I've had. Wait, yes, I have broken the record for the most crashes in a weekend that I've had. I've crashed 4 times this race, although 2 of them were not my fault and could have easily been avoided. But anyway, we're on to bigger and better things next weekend. We're at Monza, a track that favours me a lot more, so hopefully we'll be able to get a good result. Anyway, it's been your man Cham, and I will see you next time.